So we're talking tuck planche or the straight arm planche. It scales from a feet down pretend version of the tuck planche where we just learn the right mechanics. Then as you get better, eventually you lift 1 foot or 2 feet and actually hover for real. Or if you're really strong, you can actually straighten out the spine, maybe even straighten out the legs into a straddle planche. This is another one of those drills I like to use in the strength sessions because it works so much muscle, so conveniently in one move. So we work the triceps to hold the arms straight. We work the shoulders to stop us falling forwards as we lean. We work the chest to push the floor away, stop ourselves from falling on our face. It really works the abs and the hip flexors as you squeeze one or both knees into the stomach and try and hold them there. And also, it's really good for the shoulders and shoulder blade position because we have to protract the shoulder blades and you get a lot of good work in the serratus, which holds those shoulder blades in position against the rib cage as we try and lock in and hold. We use these for 2 months straight in our program. Firstly, we do static holds for a slightly more strength endurance-y feel in month 3, and then in month 4 we do pulse reps, or we do the gymnastic mountain climber. We go for 2 seconds in an even more extreme position, which requires more strength. Then we back away, recover, and we do a few pulse reps, which should, in theory, be a little bit harder than the position you can hold for 10 to 15 seconds, as we do this month. So we have a few of these moves in the strength sessions, where we work the straight arm gymnastic position. We do the L-sit, where we got the straight arms and we're straight down. We do handstands, where we got that same locked arms overhead. And then we've got the tuck planche, where we go this way, pushing the floor away. These are great because they're completely scalable from absolute beginner to super advanced. So I love them for this class because everybody can get involved, find the right level and get a good workout on them. And then you can train with the ambition of one day being able to actually lift the feet off the floor in the tuck planche, or L-sit on the floor, or handstand straight up on the wall, or even freestanding. This is another static strength exercise. So the muscles are contracting, but you're not moving. These have a number of benefits. They shouldn't be the bulk of your training, but they're a great addition. So we like to use them in the strength sessions because you've got more time to learn to contract muscles in a certain area. Training beginners and intermediates, they are so good for helping you learn technique and spend time where you can actually think about and improve a position where you're not trying to move all the time. So that's why I like to use them, as well as the fact they're quite fun. Fingers spread, hands straight ahead or turned out slightly if you want to make it a little bit easier on your wrists. Width doesn't really matter. Sometimes shoulder width, sometimes a little wider. Both have their benefits. Find where you're strong, then vary it as well over time. And we can really start to expose the bicep tendon as we lean forwards and start to develop some real strength here in your biceps, which allows you to do the slightly more advanced progressions. So work on that when you're ready. Then we want to get the shoulder blades in a protracted position. That means that they are just come out away from each other, pinned to the rib cage as you push away. So we're not sinking towards the floor, we're actively pushing away as far as we can with the chest from the floor. So sunk shoulder blades would look like this. Protracted shoulder blades would look like this. Just because the shoulder blades are protracted doesn't mean the thoracic spine should be rounded. You could still be tall and straight. So I'm tall, but I'm protracted. That's the position we're trying to hold throughout the tuck planche. Okay, so let's do one. We start, fingers spread, rotated out a little bit. I'm going just wider than shoulder width. So I fiddle around and I work the elbow into a locked position, which means like so, bicep forwards, bicep tendon under a little stretch. This is a strong, healthy, stable position for the elbow to be in when you're ready for it. So just train it in carefully as you're ready, and eventually you'll be able to hold an externally rotated locked arm and you'll be much stronger and all of this stuff. So we start, set the wrists, fiddle and practice your elbow position until you feel strong and stable. When you're ready, get tall, push the floor away, and feel that chest draw away from the floor. That is the protraction of the shoulder blades we want. Once you've got that, lock that position in. Now we turn on the power, we push the floor down, and we bring the knees just off the floor. Hips should be the same height as the shoulders. From here, we're going to work 10-second hold. If you're strong enough, you will lift one foot off the floor and squeeze that knee into your stomach. So that looks like a tuck planche. One foot off the floor, knee in tight. That puts more weight forwards and it makes your hip flexors and abs contract like mad as well. So that's the next level. If you can handle that, you lift the other foot as well, and congratulations, you're doing the real thing. You hold it for the time. If you're really strong, then you can go from that position, which is a tuck planche, to a flat tuck planche, where we actually start to straighten the spine. And if you're really, really strong, you go legs out into a straddle position, wide, and it looks really impressive. As that spine opens up, much more load goes into the bicep tendon and shoulders, because you need to be able to lean and control more force as your body's in a different position. Ideally, your feet are flat to the floor and your toes are not dug in like in a normal push-up, but it might hurt the top of the foot here, particularly if you've got tight ankles. If you're tight through the tibialis, or just not got much range in that joint, it might well hurt. And also, the more weight you've got in the feet as opposed to the hands, the more likely it is to hurt. So if it hurts, dig your toes in for now, but work towards doing it without. So ideal position here, easy to drag in. If it hurts, dig the toes in. One knee in, it's the same. You just have to make sure you're still mentally pushing as much weight forwards as you can. Even before you can lift both feet, you can still work the forward lean. So we're getting the shoulders working to stop that happening. Chest works to keep you pushing the floor away. Shoulders work more as you lean. So if I'm in this level, arms are locked, one leg in, I can hold this. We want to keep that shoulder blade position and just lean there. Then it's really tough and we get strong there. Firstly, priority, don't let those arms bend. We always want to maintain this locked position. If you can't do it, if you go for too much, if you don't try hard enough, if it just gets too hard, they will drift to that position. We want to contract the tricep harder, and we want to straighten up and externally rotate the shoulder and try and keep our arms there. It takes time, real time, even if you're strong, to develop that position. So keep your mind on it. If you're not thinking about it, you've probably lost it. Biggest error, other than the straight arms, is loss of shoulder blade protraction. If you don't practice this in push-up plus, which is like a classic prehab rehab drill, or if you don't do gymnastic stuff, Your mind probably doesn't have the move in its neural patterning. You have to practice until you get the feel for it. So, good way to do it is always, remember, do a few reps where you just drop the shoulder blades together, push them apart before you start the rep, and then as you do it, remember, if you're not thinking about it, you probably lost it. If you went for too much, you probably lost it. So always mind on shoulder blade position, not here. If you go for too much on these, you will lose the arm position, you will lose the shoulder blade position. It's normal. They're very difficult moves to progress. People want to progress. People go for too much, form goes. So it's okay to push sometimes, but as soon as you notice that form go, regress, get your arm lock, get your protraction back, keep it neat. Thanks. The next final error with these is you don't notice when you're getting better. A lot of these drills, they take a long time, they take years to master, to progress, depending on how far along in your training journey, but even for quite advanced folk. So you've got to be very specific and remember exactly what position you could hold and exactly how long or exactly how many holds of the workout you could do it for. If not, you might get 5-10% better, which is great, but you might not realise, and then you get a bit, despondent. So either pay particular attention, scribble down how good you're doing, or practice it hard for technique and form and strength, but use other things as your for your mental satisfaction and for your tracking of how well you're doing. Just practice the tuck planche and then be more measured on your push-up strength, for example. If you really want to get these with both feet off the floor and you just can't quite do it, elevate the hands, make it a bit easier. Once you're here, you don't have to be as strong through the abs and hip flexors until you can actually pull that foot off the floor and start to do the real thing. Books, parallettes, or be inventive with your setup. So just like the handstands, sometimes the L-sits, and a few of these gymnastic moves, these can really load and stress the wrists as you put your weight through them. That can be off-putting, especially if you're not very strong to start with. But the thing is, that is a good thing. You need strong, healthy wrists able to absorb and take force. So, if your wrists hurt on these, just be patient with it. Do it in a good, strong position, normally on the floor. And then, when they start to hurt, find an alternative exercise. I'll have plenty listed. And just take a bit of stress, but not too much, and then let it build up in time. Meantime, you could practice on parallel bars or a little stack of books, which can allow you to keep the wrist a little bit straighter, and then you'll be able to perform the exercise better with less wrist stress as you're training to build up the capacity to do it on the floor with a fully flexed wrist. Also, doing a bit of flexibility work in the wrist can really help with these, so practice that sort of thing as well. That's the tuck planche. We use them all the time. You can do them anywhere. They'll make you strong. They're quite fun. Give it a go.